All right, let's start seated. Finding a comfortable place on your chair so the sit bones feel nicely supported, letting the soles of your feet rest down, maybe feeling a sense that your spine is a bit tall, sitting up nice, a lot of length in the spine, nothing too rigid, but just a sense of spaciousness and height maybe. You might sway side to side or forward to back, finding a sense that you're balanced, that the weight is evenly distributed through both bony parts of your body. And as you start to settle in, maybe letting the shoulders soften down, maybe feeling as though the neck could elongate a little bit, the crown of the head lifting up, shoulders softening down, letting the elbows be heavy, letting the hands rest wherever they're comfortable. The palms could be up or down. Pausing here for a few breaths. Letting the backs of your thighs rest down on your chair. And feeling that the legs are nicely supported. Maybe closing your eyes if that would feel good, but the eyes can also stay open with the gaze soft. As we sit here in this tall seat, how would it feel to imagine that the lower ribs, both front and back, could lift up, stretching into the lower side body, any amount, almost as though you were stretching the area from your pelvis to the beginning of your ribs. Breathing here for a few more breaths, noticing how it feels to have this length in your spine, or imagining that you have the length in your spine. And then noticing if you're carrying any tension in the forehead and maybe softening that away or smoothing it away. Maybe the jaw could soften if there's any tension or clenching of the jaw. If there's tension in the belly, would it feel okay to soften the belly, allowing for expansion with every breath? Is there any tension in the hands? Are you pushing into the legs or just allowing the hands to rest down? Moving down the legs a little bit, can you soften the toes? Imagine that you could send your breath all the way down to your toes with every inhale. Sweeping out the cobwebs and anything stuck as you exhale. Take about 3 more breaths in this seat. Imagining breathing down all the way through your body, down to your toes, and letting the exhale sweep away anything that no longer serves you, anything in your way. And let's start to move gently into the neck when you're ready. Eyes can stay closed, or you can flutter them open if you wish. We'll inhale with the head forward first of all. And as you exhale, we'll turn the chin to one side, almost as though you could look over one shoulder. And then inhale back to center. And exhaling in the other direction as you're ready. Moving with your breath. Let's do this about twice more on each side. Following your breath. When you've done both sides evenly, we'll land back in center. And then with the head in center, let's imagine that we could just use our eyeballs to look over the shoulder. So let's send the eyeballs over to the left, all the way over to the corner, keeping the head looking forward, stretching into the eyes. Just breathing here, looking over your left shoulder. Just moving the eyeballs. And then allowing the eyes to come forward for a moment. If there's any dizziness or anything, making any movement that would feel good, I need to move my head a little bit or squint my eyes, kind of shake it off. We'll come back to center, head forward again, eyes forward, inhaling. And then we'll send the eyeballs over to the right as though we could look over the right shoulder, keeping the head in line with the spine, head forward. Just the eyes moving over to the right, stretching to the right. Breathing here for a couple of breaths. And then bringing the eyes forward. Oh, my head tilted as I did that too. Making any movements that you need to do, shaking the head or turning the head or squinting the eyes. Releasing that stretch. Coming forward again as you're ready, eyes forward. And this time we'll move the whole head, so eyes can be open or closed, and we'll move up and down. Let's start with an exhale as you tip the chin down towards the chest. And then inhaling to lift the chin, lifting the gaze or keeping the eyes closed, tipping the head up towards the ceiling. Moving with your breath, exhaling to lower. Inhaling to rise. About once or twice more in each direction. Following your own breath pattern. When you're ready, making your way back to center. Head facing forward, eyes forward. And let's play into the stretching of the eyeballs again. So keeping the head in line with the spine, keeping the head facing forward. We'll move just the eyeballs with an exhale, lowering the eyeballs as though you could look down towards your toes without moving the head. We'll stay here for a couple of breaths. Resisting the urge to move your head down as well. Then bringing the eyes forward. Making any movements that would feel good to bring your vision back to usual. A little shake of the head or squinting of the eyes or squeezing the eyes shut a few times. Then finding that center place, facing forward, and we'll lift the eyeballs, letting the head stay in line. Just looking up as though you could look up to your eyebrows or to the top of your head or up to the ceiling. Stretching into the eyeballs. Remembering to breathe. And releasing the eyes forward again. Making any of those movements that would feel good. Squinting the eyes, squeezing the eyes, little shake of the head. a little shimmy. And we'll come back to center. I thought I would change up our usual movement of the spine order today. So let's bring the arms up and overhead as though you were holding a big beach ball. If you actually have a beach ball, you could hold it, or if you have a yoga block handy, you could hold that over your head as well. But it'll work equally well just to have arms held nice and wide as though you were holding a big ball. So we'll explore the directions first. Inhale as though you were reaching up towards the ceiling, stretching into your body, creating more length along both sides. Breathing here for a moment. And then let's imagine we could lift the beach ball back behind us, arching the back a little bit, almost as though you were reaching behind you with the beach ball. Then coming back to a more straight up position. Let's lean over to one side of the beach ball. Keeping the feet firmly planted on the floor. If one sit bone wants to lift, keeping it really heavy on the chair. Then let's roll this beach ball forward, coming almost into a forward fold, as though we were reaching either forward or even down to the floor. And then when you're ready, rolling over to the other side, coming into a bit of a side stretch in the other direction. Again, keeping in mind to keep your sit bones really heavy, feet firmly on the floor. And then coming back up to that initial position where we're reaching the beach ball up. And then let's combine those. So you'll breathe as feels natural as you're moving. We're not finding, let's release the hands for a moment. Too much chatter while we're holding. We'll move kind of in that pattern, moving a ball in a circular movement. So we're kind of getting into the spine, into the shoulders a little bit, moving in a way that we don't often. And letting your breath pattern be however it wants to be, whatever feels good, whatever pattern of breath feels good as you move. So when you're ready, finding your beach ball. And then we'll start moving in a circle. So reaching the beach ball back and to the side, forward or down, whatever feels good in your body. And moving slow enough to feel what's going on in your spine. Does this feel okay? Does the movement need to be a little smaller or maybe bigger? Keeping the legs really firm, letting that be your pace. And then let's switch directions. Moving and breathing, feeling into your body. Letting the movements be as big or small as feels right for you this morning. Letting this be the last one, and we'll come back to our neutral seat. Releasing the hands to your lap. Giving yourself this pause, noticing sensations in the body, in the spine, and the shoulders. There's a whole lot going on in that one. I'm just noticing where it shows up in your body. And taking a moment just to kind of tune in to any sensations, settle anything that doesn't feel quite right if anything came up. Just tapping into your breath again, noticing the breath. Maybe finding again some length in the spine, shoulders melting down, and finding that tall and neutral seat. All right, let's find a little bit of a twist. Keeping the feet firmly planted on the floor this morning. Let's inhale nice and tall. As we exhale, let's bring left hand to the right thigh or knee. Right hand might sweep back beside your hip or behind you on the chair, and we'll turn the shoulders to the right with an exhale. Inhaling to think of lifting the spine, keeping length in the spine. And exhaling just to allow your body to settle into the twist. Maybe one more full breath cycle if it feels okay to stay. Then unwinding as you're ready, coming back to center. Pausing here, taking an in-between breath, scanning the body for any difference in sensation from one side to the other. And we'll reset on the other side. Inhaling at center. Exhaling to bring the right hand to the outside of the left thigh or maybe the left knee. Left hand might come behind you. Inhaling, lifting the spine, lifting the crown of the head. And as you exhale, turning shoulders towards the left. With every inhale, thinking about keeping the spine long. And allowing your body to settle into the twist with the exhale. About one more full breath cycle if it feels okay to stay here. Then unwinding as you're ready. Coming back to center. Giving yourself that in-between, noticing what's happening in the body. Let's move down into our legs a little bit. So let's shift a little closer to the edge of the seat. So your thighs have a little more space to move, a little more wiggle room. Let's start by lifting the right thigh. So choice here. Either you can reach down, pick up your thigh and bring it in towards you, or you can see how far your thigh can come towards you of its own accord, its own power, before grasping underneath the thigh or around the shin or knee. And let's start with the simple gate opening movement. So just moving the right knee out towards the right. Most of the effort here is in the arms. Letting the leg be a bit loose and just exploring the range of motion without much muscular support to begin. And then pausing in your open position. And then see if your leg can take over. See if you can use any muscles on the outside of the leg or back of the hip and see if you can draw the leg even wider open with your outer hip. Some kind of muscular activation, almost as though you could do it without the help of your hand. You're not pulling with the hand is just there to support the knee in the lift. And then let's bring the right knee back towards center, releasing it to the floor. And then noticing, giving yourself that time, noticing where you feel that, maybe in the hip flexor, right in the crease of your hips, maybe on the outside edge of your hip. And let's move over to the left leg. Again, choice, either picking up under the thigh and bringing the knee in towards you, or seeing how far your leg can come with its own support, with its own muscle before grabbing underneath the thigh. You can also hold around the knee or shin. And let's start the same way. We'll open the left leg out like a gate a few times, letting it be a bit loose. Noticing what the range is. And then pausing in your most relaxed open position. And then we'll start to draw the left knee towards the left without the use of the hand. You're seeing if you can activate anything in the leg to widen that, to pull the knee back to the left. And then releasing, bringing the knee back towards the center or your neutral position, allowing the left foot to come back down to the mat. And again, noticing sensations, differences from one side to the other. Was one side easier to activate? Did you feel anything on either side? Just noticing these things, observing. Let's come back to the right leg. And we'll do our hip circles. So lifting any way that feels good, either drawing the knee up with or without hands. Holding where feels comfortable. And we'll draw circles. And maybe you could guide the movement with the support of your legs. So rather than letting the movement all be in your hand and arm, see if you can bring some of the work into the knee, letting your hands support the leg, but maybe guiding the movement as though your knee were the one drawing the circle. Let's switch directions as you're ready. And when you're ready, releasing right foot back to the floor. Giving that in-between pause, noticing any difference from one side to the other. And we'll come back to the left side. Circles with the left knee. And again, seeing if you can bring some of the work into the leg rather than letting it be the hand guiding all of the movement. Let the hand be there for support. But see if you can use the knee to draw the circles, use the leg. And switching directions as you're ready. Letting the leg or the foot that's still on the floor be your support. And then bringing left foot back to the floor. Noticing sensations. Let's move down into the feet after we've had a pause to notice. Lifting the right leg just enough so that the foot comes off the floor, and you can move into some ankle circles. Switching directions as you're ready. Let's point and flex the foot a few times. Pointing toes to the floor, then drawing toes towards the shin. Then let's imagine you could spread your toes wide. And then curl your toe, almost as though you could make a fist with your foot, curling the toes underneath, as though you could draw the ankle or heel towards the toes. Sort of a weird feeling. Sometimes the arch might feel a little bit crampy. And then release the foot back to the floor. Now noticing sensations in the right foot compared to the left. Just giving yourself the pause, the time to notice. And let's move to the left foot, lifting just enough so that the foot comes off the floor. Finding some ankle circles, left side. And then ankle circles in the other direction. Let's point and flex the foot a few times, pointing toes towards the floor and then drawing the toes towards the shin. And then imagine you could spread your toes wide apart, stretching the toes wide. Sometimes it's best not to look at your foot and just imagine it's happening. And then curl your foot as though you could make a fist with your foot, almost as though you could reach your toes towards your heel, heel towards your toes. And then release. Release the left foot back to the floor. Finding that tall and neutral spine, that tall seat, checking in with the body. And let's move through our sun salutations. So finding your preferred variation, whether that's knees about hip width distance, maybe you like them more narrow, or maybe you like them your knees a bit wider. Knowing that partway through we'll come into a forward fold and deciding what feels best in your body, whether you like the space to allow your torso through, or if the compression between belly and thighs feels better. We'll do 3 of them, so you can always switch it up for each one. Finding that tall seat to begin. As you're ready, let's sweep arms up and overhead, or arms could come wide as well. Exhaling, hands back to your thighs. As you inhale, drawing the chest forward through the upper arms, arching the back, and the gaze might lift. As you exhale, pushing the thighs away, rounding the spine as though you could spread your shoulder blades apart, chin towards chest. Inhaling back to a tall and neutral spine. Exhaling to fold forward. The forearms might stay on the thighs, or the fingertips might trace the shins, coming down towards ankles, or maybe even fingertips or palms to floor. Let the head release as you arrive in your forward fold, wherever you are. Breathing here for a few moments. When you're ready, with an inhale, let's sweep right arm into a twist. Exhaling, right arm back down. Inhale, left arm, sweep up into a twist. Exhale, left arm down. Inhale, both arms sweep up and overhead, drawing us back to our tall seat. Exhaling, hands to thighs. Taking an in-between breath. Making any adjustments that would feel good. New foot position, new hand destination. And as you're ready, inhaling to sweep arms. Exhaling, hands to thighs. Inhaling to arch the back, chest comes forward, gaze lifts. Exhaling to round the back like a Halloween cat. Inhaling back to the tall and neutral spine. Exhaling to fold forward. Forearms might stay on the thighs. You might trace the shins with your fingertips, or hands might come down to the floor. Let the head release as you arrive in your fold, wherever you are. Breathing here for a breath or two. When your next inhale arrives, let's sweep right arm up into a twist. Exhaling, right arm back down. Inhale, left arm sweeps up into a twist. Exhale, left arm back down. Inhale, both arms sweep up, bringing us back to our tall seat. Exhaling, hands to thighs. Taking a pause, noticing sensations, maybe the shoulders, wherever anything comes up and you're feeling it, just noticing. Let's move through one more time. Inhaling to sweep arms up and overhead, maybe gazing at the thumbs or fingertips. Exhaling, hands back to the thighs. Inhaling to bring the chest through the upper arms, gaze lifts. Exhaling to round the spine, belly towards the back of the chair, spreading the shoulder blades apart, chin dips down. Inhaling back to a tall and neutral spine. Exhaling to fold forward, your version. Forearms to thighs, fingertips tracing shins, or hands might come to the floor. Letting your head release as you arrive. Breathing here, 2 full breaths. Letting the sit bones remain heavy on the chair in any of the variations. When your next inhale arrives, let's sweep right arm into a twist. Exhaling, right arm down. Left arm sweeps up into a twist, inhale. Exhaling, left arm down. Inhaling, both arms sweep up and overhead or maybe wide, your version. Exhaling, hands to thighs. Pausing as you arrive, noticing sensations, breathing here. Let's shift forward again. If you're a little further back on the chair, for some reason I moved back, you might still be on the edge of your chair, in which case don't move any more forward, be stable. Let's widen the knees a little bit. We'll come into a seated variation of warrior two and maybe side angle. So thinking back to our exercise where we were moving the knee out and you were using the muscles along the outer edge of your thigh or along the outer edge of your outer side of your hip. And we're moving into those muscles again. So imagine if you were to lift your foot, you could pull the knee back using the muscles in the thigh, widening the legs just a little bit. And we're keeping that feeling of drawing the knee back towards the back of the body, towards the left and right. Hips are quite active here. So with both knees bent, this is kind of a variation of goddess. If you're feeling quite stable, you could bring your hands into prayer position. Still drawing the knees back. No pain, but there might be a little bit of tension, or it's not a comfortable pose, but it shouldn't be painful. And let's move with breath here. With an inhale, let's draw the arms wide into cactus shape. Exhaling to bring the hands back into a prayer position. Twice more, moving with your breath. Inhaling, arms wide. Exhaling back to prayer. Keep drawing the knees back. One more. Inhale to cactus. Exhaling to bring hands back to prayer. And then soften the knees a little bit, maybe allowing them to come forward. You can release the hands. Might feel good to sway side to side, letting the knees bend in one at a time, almost like a wide windshield wiper. And then let's set up again, letting the feet be fairly wide, not quite moving into that pulling the knees back yet. And then let's let the left knee stay bent, and we'll stretch the right foot away from us. The toes will face forward. The left toes are going to face in the same direction as the knee. The right knee might stay a little bit bent. It might not feel good to stretch all the way straight, but we're moving towards straight, almost as though you could push into the heel, reaching the heel down into the floor. Okay, now let's think about the left leg, and maybe you could heel toe or draw the knee back a little bit. We want to keep the knee in line with the middle toes as much as possible, but we are looking a little bit for that action, that feeling of drawing the knee back behind you or back to the left. As you're ready, let's reach arms out wide into a T shape, warrior two. Let's gaze over left fingertips. Maybe softening the shoulders down, but still reaching out through the fingertips. We're still drawing the left knee back, pushing into right heel. There's a lot going on. Remembering to breathe. One more full breath. And then releasing the hands. Releasing the knees, allowing the legs to come back to a softer position, maybe finding that little bit of swiveling knees back and forth, windshield wiper. And then let's set up on the other side. So widening the knees to a position that's sustainable to begin. Let's reach left leg out long. Moving towards straight. Again, the knee might stay a bit bent, and that's okay, but in the with the idea, with the intention of straightening the left leg. Toes are facing forward for the left foot. Stretching into the heel. The right knee, we're keeping in line with the toes. So if you move your knee out to the right a little more, we're still keeping the knee in line with the toes. Maybe activating that feeling, pulling the right knee back behind you, back towards the right, maybe waking up those side hip muscles again. Both feet are really stable on the floor. Let's open up the arms into a wide T shape. Gazing over right fingertips. Maybe softening the shoulders, but stretching out through the fingers. Right knee continues to draw back. Left heel, we're pushing down into the floor and remembering to breathe. 2 more breaths if it feels okay to stay. And then let's release hands, release knees. Coming back to a softer position, finding that little bit of swiveling the knees back and forth. And let's make our way to standing, bringing the knees closer to the chair. Let's come up through our chair position if it feels okay. So drawing the heels back towards you a little bit. Comfortable stance, hip width distance or wider. Bringing hands into prayer, and let's shift the weight into the heels. Hovering just above the chair if it feels okay for knees. Breathing. And then coming all the way to standing. Releasing the hands. Let's find our way so that we're facing the backrest of the chair. Let's start off by finding a chair version of downward dog. So either, if you know you prefer a lower distance, you could use the seat of the chair for this as well. So resting your hands either on the seat of the chair or the backrest of the chair, letting the feet be quite wide. A little wider than hip width distance feels pretty good for me, but you can find a distance that works for you. Bending into knees as much as feels nice, letting the hands or wrists rest on the backrest of the chair or the seat of the chair. Thinking about sending the tailbone back behind you, reaching the crown of the head forward, finding length in the spine. Might feel good to sway from leg to leg a little bit. Or maybe it would feel better just to find some stillness. So stay here for 3 breaths if it feels okay to stay. And slowly, as you're ready, coming back up, walking towards your chair, arriving and standing. Feeling the feet on the floor, feeling your spine and body so tall, crown of the head reaching up. And then let's turn so that our left hip is perpendicular to the chair. Let's step the feet wide. Not so wide that you're unstable, but wide enough that we're in a good strong stance. Coming up onto the left heel, let's turn the whole leg so that the toes are pointing towards the chair. Right foot stays exactly as it is. And let's start bending into the left knee any amount. So peeking down at your knee and making sure that the knee stays in line with your toes, your middle toes. And that might mean that we're finding that same action, drawing the knee out towards the back, getting into the hip again. As you're ready, maybe reaching right arm back behind you. If you're feeling stable enough to let go of the chair, maybe reaching left arm in front of you and gazing over left fingers. Breathing here, drawing left knee to the left, towards the pinky side of your foot. Softening shoulders, reaching through fingertips. and releasing the hands. Straightening the left leg, pivoting so that the toes are facing forward again. Maybe walking the feet back together. Finding any wiggling that would feel good. Little shimmy, little shake, and we'll move into the other side. So either switching the side of your chair or just turning around. Right hip perpendicular to the chair. Let's step the feet wide once more. We are prepared. Coming up onto the left, right heel. Pivoting the whole leg so that right toes turn towards the chair, and then placing the foot back down on the mat. Taking a peek at your right knee, and bending into the right knee, keeping the knee in line with the middle toes. Maybe finding that activation of the outer right hip already. As you feel ready, maybe reaching left arm back behind you. If you're nice and stable, right arm might reach forward. And let's gaze over the right fingertips or over the right shoulder if you're holding the chair. Softening shoulders, but reaching out through fingertips. Left arms are quite active. Keeping in mind to keep the knee reaching out to the right. Remembering to breathe. And let's release the hands, straightening the leg, pivoting the toes forward, walking the feet back towards each other, finding any wiggling that would feel good. Let's take our beach ball one more time and do standing circles. So inhaling the beach ball up, maybe back behind us a little bit, stretching into the back, maybe finding a side bend, maybe drawing it through the middle. Finding the other side. And finally back up. Let's go in the other direction, reaching back first. Then straight up. Over to whichever side you moved first, going in the opposite direction. Making your way back to a tall standing position. Maybe one last reach back behind you before releasing. Let's make our way back to seated. Making any last movements that just feel good on your way back down. Anything your body's craving. As you arrive back to your seat, letting the sit bones once again feel heavy. Letting the feet rest down. Once again, feeling nice and stable. It might feel good to sit away from the backrest, letting the crown of the head be tall, or it might feel better just to let yourself rest back. And so deciding where you are today, what would feel right. Let's bring the hands so that they're palms up as we close practice. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then let's bring the tip of the first finger to the tips of the thumbs. Take a full breath. And release. And then we'll bring the tip of the middle finger to the tip of the thumbs. Full breath. And release. Tip of the ring finger to the tip of the thumbs. Full breath. And release. Tip of the pinkies to the tips of the thumbs. Full breath. Release. Taking a regular breath or two. And maybe bringing hands to your heart or hands in Anjali Mudra or prayer position to close practice. With gratitude to each of you for making the time to move and breathe in community to join me for practice. With gratitude for allowing me to guide you through today. And with gratitude to all the students and teachers who have passed this practice down. Peace.